My name is Muenstermann. I have been an educator for 34 years. The last 17 of them have been at Valor Christian High School, which has been a great opportunity to speak to kids about Jesus every day. In 2022, March, we were doing The Addams Family, the musical. A lot of fun, kind of crazy. It was during a time when we were still wearing masks for the chorus and shields for the principals, but we were still doing theater during COVID and doing it in a safe way. And I was exposed to COVID on a Tuesday. By Thursday afternoon, I started coughing and uncontrollably. And a week later, I ended up in the ED and ended up getting oxygen, 5 liters of oxygen that I was on for another week. And by the end of that second week, I couldn't breathe, even with oxygen on. And it was hard. I was gasping for air. So we went to the hospital and they put me on 32 liters of oxygen because my oxygen level was only at about 68% when we got there. And that's when I was admitted and spent the next 2 weeks in the hospital, struggling to stay alive. There were a couple times when nurses would come in and they would never touch you, but 2 times the nurses came in and they literally put their hand on my arm and they said, "Kurt, you need to work hard to get your oxygen levels up. We have a crash cart waiting, we have a crash team waiting, and we're gonna put you in an ICU and you'll have to be intubated." And the second time the nurse told me that, when she had her hand on my arm, she said, "We don't know how this is gonna end." So I just leaned into God and I just said, okay, where am I with this? Where are we? And I felt this peace rush over me. I knew that God had me and that if my time on this planet was over, that would be okay. In a situation like this, when many people are absolutely lost and anxious and fearful, I was given a different gift because I trusted Him. For 2 weeks, I didn't see a human face. I was not able to see anybody that I knew. It can be pretty devastating to the need for human contact. And, God designed us to be in community. He designed us to be with one another. And that isolation, in addition to being terribly sick and weak and struggling and confused, was really, really hard on me. While I was in the hospital, my small group would text me, would call me, would remind me that I'm not alone. My faith community made a huge difference in terms of continually checking in and sending care baskets and things like that, just little things to encourage me along the way. At the end of the 2 weeks, when my wife came to pick me up and they released me from the hospital, it was still a process. I was exhausted. I still had trouble with breathing. I had to wear oxygen all the time. And, physically it was hard to get around, hard to function. Slowly over time, I healed and I got stronger, but I think the impact of having to lean on God really made a difference in my relationship and my growth with our Lord. I consider my story very lucky. My experience was one where I really got to explore my relationship with God during that time. Without, hanging on the edge of death at times, I don't know if I would have leaned as deeply into my relationship with God as I have. And for that opportunity, I am grateful.